Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Happy Healthy Life podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the Happy Healthy Guys.
So it's been a minute since we've been here. We're going to talk about what it is that we've been up to, where we've been. But here's the thing. What if we told you that the secret to living past 90, living to be 100, 110, 120, vibrant, active, and happy and healthy had nothing to do with diets, supplements, or gym memberships? What would you say to that?
We just spent a lot of time in one of the world's original blue zones, and let's just say our minds were blown. If you can just picture this, this 90-year-old man chopping wood, walking uphill daily, leading the hikes through the mountains, no aches, no meds, no pain, just peace and purpose. I can imagine that. His name is Giovanni.
Giovanni's amazing. So today we're going to pull back the curtain to show you what the real habits of people who are real live centenarians, what they are doing to live these vibrant, happy, healthy lives. And it's going to be coming to you straight from the actual source.
Yeah. So let's rethink everything. Get ready. Everything you thought you knew about longevity and biohacking and all the things we're told we have to do to live to be 100. It may or may not be true. We'll peel back the curtain and we'll actually be able to talk about not what we think you should do, but what we actually saw from people that really are living 90, 100, 110 years old.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. So picture this. So we were speaking at an event in Croatia. Then we were going to Sardinia, one of the original blue zones, and we honestly didn't know how this was going to happen. We didn't know really who we were going to be meeting. We just knew that we had decided we are going to go learn from people who are actually living to be 90, 100, 110, 120 years old because, in this health and wellness industry, in this world right now, they have this whole world that's called like biohacking. And if you don't know anything about biohacking, here's what you'll learn when you go into this space is that all these people are telling you that these are the things that you need to do to biohack your health in order to be able to have healthier longevity or live a longer life. But here's the funny thing to us. All the people that are in this space selling the gizmos, the gadgets, all of the different things. The whirly doodles, they're not 90, 100, 110 years old. They're like 35, 40, 50,
maybe 60.
And they're the ones that are teaching people longevity. We're like, what the heck do you know about longevity? When have you actually lived at 90 years old?
No.
So we knew that we decided we're going to go learn from these people. When I say we didn't really know what we were walking into, we did not know what we were walking into. So we rent a car. We were in Croatia. We fly into Sardinia. We knew that we were going to be driving towards the mountains. We rent a car, which was a whole thing. I didn't realize that you needed like an international driver's license. Well, we were able to get around that. Don't ask me how, but we did. And we end up driving into this blue zone. And we're driving up this mountain, literally straight up a mountain.
Like if you make one mistake.
Yeah, Randy I'm driving.
If you're making one mistake, we're toppling down the side of the mountain. I'm like, you're white nut. I'm like 10-2 over there, Rob. 10-2.
What? And then Randy's going, oh my God, look at that. That is so beautiful. I'm like, you're telling me to look at the road. I'm white knuckled and tell me to look at something at the same time. How am I going to look at
10-2, Rob, eyes on the road.
So it's like the one lane road where like, if somebody's coming the other way, you're playing chicken with this person now, and somebody's going to have to make a decision, or you're driving in reverse back down the mountain. So that's what's happening. We end up going all the way up. We pass this like farm in the middle of nowhere. When I say in the middle of nowhere at the top of this mountain, in the middle of nowhere, we're driving and driving and driving, and all of a sudden the road ends. And we passed it on the Google map. We're like, all right, what do? We got to go backwards. And so we figure out barely are able to turn this little car around, some kind of Volkswagen thing that we were in. And we turn it around, we start going back down. And that farm that we had passed by was where we were actually going. It's not a hotel, it's like this little farmhouse. And the sign was, if you can see us right now, the sign was like literally little bitty. It's like this big. I'm making motion with my hands right now, and it says like the name of the place, and that's where we were headed to. And so we drive into this little gravel road, and we end up at this farmhouse. It was literally just breathtaking, the views from this farmhouse,
Yeah,
and it's a
yeah,
working farm. There's a guy plowing a field
yeah.
with
Marco,
Marco with a donkey, right there. And then we get out of the car, and who were we greeted by?
the dog, or Luciana?
Yeah, both.
The both. So yeah, this amazing lady, Luciana, greeted us, and she had the cutest little dog. I still never even got this little dog's name, but he was our little buddy and our little happy, healthy dog for the couple of days we were there. But it was amazing. She took us into our living quarters there where we would be staying, and took us into their home, and it was awesome because you're seeing like this very simple, very fancy stuff anywhere, just basic things that everybody would need, like a coffee maker and
And
kitchen supplies
and a 72-inch big screen TV.
and a 72-inch big
It's
screen
the
TV, right?
weirdest
It was
thing.
the funniest thing sticking out. Like, what doesn't fit in this picture? But it was incredible because all of the things that the traditional things that they've done now for 3 and 4, 5+ generations were all still present there in this home front, in this farm. In fact, I was talking to her about there's this delicacy dish that Sardinia is known for, where they basically you take a baby goat that has just been milked, and you literally hang the stomach of the goat with the milk in it for 10 days. So obviously the goat's been killed. They hang the stomach, and the rennet in the stomach naturally curdles the milk and makes this really rich ricotta cheese. And I was asking her about this dish, and she runs to her freezer and comes back and has this basically this goat intestine that has all that cheese curdled in it. And I was like, that's exactly what I've read about. And of course, it's rich in lots of short chain fats, lots of saturated fat, yet they don't see heart disease out there, which I thought was interesting. I'm drinking raw sheep milk every morning. I could not believe how delicious this raw sheep milk was, just literally in my space of comfort outside with the donkeys, looking into the mountains, playing with the dog, drinking the raw milk. It was just such a beautiful thing to see. And when you looked at Luciana and you looked at Marco, I don't know, how old do you think they were? Probably in
I would
their,
say they're probably in their 50s.
yeah, they didn't have like any wrinkles on their skin. I mean, Marco, he's not going to the gym to lift weights. This guy's arms and veins going through his arms. He was so muscular. Yet this guy's not going to a gym. He's not lifting weights. He's not on a treadmill. He's outdoors. He's in nature. He's working hard. He's plowing the field. He's doing the things that, really are the longevity play. When you start to make life easier and you get more modern, it seems that you actually start to die quicker. And I'll give you an example. I was talking to a lady that I had met named Sarah, and Sarah was telling me about her uncle, and her uncle lived to be 107. So pretty solid number there. And at 107, I was asking, like, well, how in the world? Because I had met Sarah when I'd already left Sayula, which was that blue zone area we were in. I was talking to her, and she knew Sayula because her uncle lived there. And I said, tell me about his life. She goes, well, the very first thing she said was, my uncle had zero medical intervention until the very last few months of his life. So you think about going to almost 107 and you've had zero medical intervention. And I'm like, zero? What do you mean? She goes, well, there are no doctors. Everything they did was from the earth, the herbs, the plants, the food, they didn't go to doctors. And so she's also said he could eat anything that he wanted. In fact, his favorite dish was lasagna. But it was funny because she was telling me that the nurse in his final weeks and months of his life, she was in her 40s, yet she couldn't eat anything because she had all these gut problems. She had arthritis, she had brain fog, she had fatigue. She was less than half his age. She had all these medical problems, yet he had none of these issues. It was so irritated that he couldn't eat lasagna anymore because if she ate it, she would get sick. He was on no medication. He lived in very high altitude, lots of oxygen. So obviously in a very clean part of the world. He worked his garden, he worked his land. And here's another thing as well. She said that when his life was hard, when he had to go outside, there was no running water and get their own water, when he had to work the land, when he had to actually, go harvest the crops and slaughter the animals, when he had to do the hard things, that's when he was the healthiest. But in his final months and days, as all those things were taken away from him and things got easier, he began to die quicker. She goes, it was so quickly how fast he died when all the hard things of his life were taken away. And I thought that was a very valuable lesson when you think about it, how we always try to choreograph and make life easier to fit our life. Yet, is that really serving us when we avoid the hard things? And apparently, living, quote, hard actually is a part of longevity. That is the longevity play.
No, I think, yeah, nowadays, I mean, that's huge what you just said, because we've all been taught, okay, avoid doing the things that are hard,
Yep.
but it's really, you got to define what your hard really is. I mean, these people have absolutely loved what it is that they did
Yes.
there for a living. I've got a photo here of our little buddy. If y'all can see this right here on the video, there's our little dog friend right there that we hung out with every single day. Cutest little dog ever.
The cutest.
And so we're at this country home. They receive us into their home like we were a member of their family. We sat there drank espresso with Marco and Luciana. And so then they're like, all right, we heard that you're going to see my sister's husband, Massimo. So what was happening next after we got there is we were going to meet a sheep herder, a shepherd, like a true life shepherd. That's Massimo. And so we leave, we go down the mountain, and we go to this place, which is Massimo's place. And so he's got all these sheep that he herds every single day. And then we go inside, and they've got like photos of all of the centenarians from the area that are there, which I thought was really, really cool. And so Marco is like generation. He's a member of a family of generations of shepherds from that area. And so his wife is beautiful. And then he shows us the process of how he takes the sheep milk and then turns it, not sheep milk, but the goat milk, and then turns that into cheese. And we then entered into cheese absolute heaven, the freshest cheese that you'll ever that you'll ever taste in your entire life. But I think, and we were asking a lot of questions. We've got all this on video. We'll send out a lot of these interviews that we've had with people that were there, because the information that they gave us honestly wasn't anything that was just mind-blowing or earth-shattering, but the proof is in the pudding, and all they were is just proof that living this type of a lifestyle helps you with having a healthier longevity. And so one of the things that Massimo said when we asked, what are the things that you do or you believe that is responsible for these people who are on these photos right here being centenarians? And one of the things, and every single person said this that we had talked to and interviewed, is that he said movement, moving every single day. So this guy is like walking up and down the mountain every single day. He's like, my father, who was a shepherd, was walking up and down the mountain every single day. And like Randy was saying, is at altitude. So if you're at altitude, that makes it, you would think, harder on your body, but it's that type of stress that we also talk about, that hormetic stress that your body needs to be able to get stronger. And he said, I do this every single day. There's no, I don't take the day off on Easter. I don't take the day off on Christmas. I don't take the day off for any holiday because this is something that requires me to work at it every single day. But I love what it is that I do because I love the quality of the cheese that we're able to produce. And it's smelled different. It looked different. It tasted different. It was just really beautiful. But
As you're describing it, I mean, I can smell and I can taste the whole experience right now because there was nothing like it.
that's in my refrigerator right now, and I'm
Yeah.
afraid to eat it because I'm like, ah,
When it's
man,
gone,
this
it's gone. You
smell.
can't
Yeah.
get it. You really can't even get it out of the country. It's so pure. But yeah, I mean, this was it was a shepherd's life. And a shepherd's life, it really took me even back to the Bible, even one of my favorite passages in John 10:14 through 15, when Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I would lay my life down for the sheep. It was so beautiful because when we were there on that property, that was his goat farm. And he had, I don't know how many goats that he had, that Massimo had, but as the shepherd of this flock, all of the goats knew him and he knew every one of these goats by name. In fact, there was a whole group of them, and he started calling out to this one goat, and this goat sprinted. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life, if you even remember that.
I do.
This goat sprinted probably 100 feet directly to Massimo and embraced him as if the Father would embrace us and call us out and know us like he knows us. And I was just getting chills watching this whole thing, which really goes back to the longevity play, which as a shepherd, tending to your flock, knowing each one of those little goats by name, and being willing to lay down your life to defend and take care of them. There's something very powerful about the heart and the mind and the passion of a shepherd. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. So it's like you said, there's movement, there's altitude, there's care, there's a commitment to what you believe in. You know, how far does that go in the longevity play when you're passionate and believe in something that you're willing to do it every single day with joy in your heart, and it gives you huge purpose? It was powerful. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. And if you're wondering about our Happy Healthy Metabolism products, go to thehappyhealthylife.com, and at checkout, use promo code podcast to save 10% off any of our products.
Thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. And as always, if you don't know what's going on with your metabolism and you want to find out, go to metabolismscore.com. It was so powerful. And it was it was like when I've never been to like Israel or Jerusalem or anything like that to be able to see like the places, of the Bible. But it was a very biblical moment in when he was calling them. And I thought it was interesting too, because they all come into this other pasture where he was moving them to. And then there was like 3 or 4 that were just standing there, just looking at him like, I don't want to go. And I thought that was so just representative of those people who know that they're like, okay, the good shepherd, God is telling me that I need to go over here and do this, but I'm just going to resist this, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not believing that that's exactly where it is that I need to go. And then he like called them very aggressively, and they reluctantly started to come, but they finally did. And I felt like, yeah, I can also be that person that is very stubborn, very resistant, even though I know where I need to go. And then if we don't go there, then God can become aggressive with us and actually make us go to that area. I know that was indicative of me when I refused even to rest, even though I knew that God was telling me that I needed to rest, but I continued doing the things that I was doing. And as a result, ended up with an injury to my back. So it was like, God was like, you know what? I allowed you to be able to have that injury to your back so that you could actually like literally be laying flat on your back so that you could actually rest and stop moving for a minute. And so, yeah, there was just so many moments that were like that, that were like, oh my gosh, this right here is just a beautiful picture. And I still get just goosebumps thinking about a lot of things. And I think that that's probably where we should go with this podcast. We didn't have like an exact direction as to where it is that we wanted to go. But I think that what we should do is, let me know if you're cool with this, is just tell the story as it happened. So this podcast may end up being 2 episodes, 3 episodes, 4 episodes. I don't know, because it also goes into us going into London and speaking in London to a group of people that was all medical doctors, quantum physicists, and we had the leading robotics heart surgeon in all of the UK was there, and them listening to us talk about a holistic way of life was like literally blowing their mind.
Well, because we were going into that talk, thinking we're going to be teaching them about our metabolism program.
Yeah.
And what the talk became was, no, 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 no. We need to wake them up and teach them about what is health.
Mhm.
Because we were in a room of really smart people and they didn't even know what health was.
No,
Yeah,
they couldn't
yeah.
even comprehend it, because then we were speaking from a lens of being with all these healthy people, which was great too, because we're like, hey, you guys are doing this over here, looking at people as if they're broken, right? And that you're having to put them back together, when we just got back from a group of people that's looking at people as they're whole and they're perfect. And there's nothing to put back together, because everything that they need for healing is on the inside of them.
Mhm.
And so we're like, you know what? We're standing firm on what it is that we're talking about. And we're not budging from that, because you know what? The principle that where we speak from is 100% true. It's tried, tested, and like I said, we've got proof in that. We just got back from looking at that proof. So
Well, that's why we connected, I think, so easily with, we were only there for a very short amount of time, and it felt like we were a part of that community our whole life. We were so quickly brought into these private villages of people where a lot of strangers don't just mosey in there. Yet, because of our philosophy, our belief, our respect for their culture and how they raise animals and how they eat their food, even how they make their wine, it was remarkable. Even thinking about Massimo, his 4 steps to making cheese were all the traditional ancestral ways of doing it, where he was basically saying the cheese doesn't need any help forming. It needs no interference.
Yeah,
Just
so-
like your health doesn't need any help healing. It needs no interference. It isn't $100,000 biohacking machine that you need. You need to start getting back to the basic, simple things that God has given us that have been time tested and proven, which are all basic, essential things of eating real food, nutrition, very minimalistic. And how thankful were they for everything in every moment, living in gratitude? Like, these aren't sexy, but these are real, guys. These are the things. This is the way forward if we are going to live our best life. Get off the grid, take back ownership of your health. But it doesn't have to be hard.
yeah, so let's talk about what happened next. So
I don't know what happened.
yeah, so we're in there. So we're in the place where where he makes the cheese, and
Okay,
this
back with
place. So,
Massimo. I got
we're
you.
with Massimo. Well, I mean, he's given us this Italian Sardinian beer that we've had before. We had some authentic Sardinian wine. And by the way, it's interesting. Whenever they served us wine, anywhere that we were there wasn't any wine that was served to us that was actually purchased anywhere.
No, it wasn't in a bottle.
No. So what they do is they take the wine that they make,
Yeah.
that they just harvested earlier that year, and then they pour it into this is kind of funny. They either pour it into water bottles, or they stick it into another bottle that was some other kind
They
of
had these
different wine in
crates,
it.
right, of just these empty
empty
bottles,
bottles.
and they would go get the wine from their barrel, from their cellar, and pour it into the bottles. and then bring that out to the table either in a water bottle jug or in a glass bottle. But that, yeah, it was like, what are we drinking here?
Yeah, so then he goes, okay, before we try the cheese, let's go into the room where it's all at. So we
Yeah.
walk into this room, and it's like at specific temperature, all done. And by the way, we asked him, the way you produce the cheese right now, how is this different than the way your ancestors produced the cheese? He's like, there's nothing any different. I do it exactly the same that they did, except for one thing. And the one thing was, in order to be able to heat things up, he uses gas, whereas before they were burning and just using wood.
Right.
That
So
was the
there's no
only
difference.
difference of what it is that they do. So then we go into this room, wheels of cheese just everywhere.
Yeah.
It was literally cheese heaven. So you had like real pecorino cheese right there in front of us. The ricotta cheese that he literally had just milked the goat earlier that morning and then made the cheese that same exact
Well,
day.
that was part of the tradition is there is no refrigeration. So it's fresh milk you make cheese that exact day. So that's a part of one of the
Yeah.
4 rules that they had of making the cheese. There is no hanging on to this and doing it tomorrow. That's why you're not taking off today. You're milking fresh, you're making fresh. And another thing that was blowing my mind, and you think in this world of germs and hand
Mm.
sanitizers and spraying chemicals to kill everything, that's not what we saw. And that is a part of longevity because germs aren't the enemy, they're actually a part of us. So we go into this cheese room and there's wheels of cheese everywhere. You're putting your hands on them, you're picking them up. There were a few bugs in there.
He's
We
like
weren't
taking the bugs and flicking them
yeah,
off with his finger.
we didn't need to wear a hairnet. We didn't have to like get in a hazmat suit to walk through the cheese facility. There was one area where they had that ricotta cheese that had 6 months of mold all over it.
Yeah.
There was mold everywhere. I don't know. Did you get this long, deep, boring cough for 6 months from mold poisoning? It's ridiculous. Mold isn't making you sick. Mold is a bioremediator. It's a part of the ecosystem. It's a part of who we are. And it was awesome to see this unsanitary, but not unsanitary, but this facility that was using all of these raw ancient techniques. There wasn't a sign of any hand sanitizer, any Clorox, any spray bleaches, any disinfectants. It didn't make any sense, which is a part of longevity because germs aren't the enemy. They're actually part of the longevity play. It's actually the chemicals that kill the germs that are making us sick that are the enemy. So I thought that was interesting there as we noticed that you've got mold, you got bugs, there's no hand sanitizers, there's no hairnets, and here we are eating the world's greatest, most rich, most nutrient-dense cheeses that you could ever get your hands on. Wow.
It was amazing.
How did Massimo live so healthy without hand sanitizer? I guess I can't figure that out.
Smiling all the time. Beautiful man.
Exactly.
So we come out of there, and then it's now time to start tasting the cheese,
Ooh,
which is the
man.
best part. And yeah, they tasted amazing. But one of the questions that we asked is, hey, do you guys ever use any antibiotics with any of the milk?
Hmm.
And his response was no. He's like, there's no antibiotics used. In fact, there's a purity law there
Yep.
that if they test your cheese or test the milk source or the milk that it's coming from, and it has any trace of antibiotic in there, you will be fined 25,000 euro for that.
Yeah, they're not playing around.
Think about that for a second. Can you go into a grocery store right now and test any of that dairy and not find any antibiotics in there?
Oh, man.
No freaking way. So just a completely different way of doing things. And you're seeing that again, the result is you got these people living longer, happier, healthier lives.
Hmm.
So we're tasting all the different cheeses. And now he's brought out the wine by that time. So we're drinking this wine that was just, literally made this last year. That came from the mountain that we were standing on that they went and got. And then
Yeah, the Cannonau grape.
the Cannonau is amazing. And then he brings out this the most amazing,
Oh, wow. I dream
delectable
about this.
thing that I have ever tasted in my entire life. And I could have never imagined that I would have been drinking this. But what he gave us was the very first colostrum that came from the mom to the baby goat.
Yeah, it was within the
Um,
first, it's that first milking colostrum.
yeah,
Yeah, that people sell now that we've even recommended in a powder product. And we were getting it fresh off the mountains of
from
Sardinia
like that day.
from that day from, and was it goat or was it sheep colostrum?
It was
It was
goat.
goat colostrum. Okay.
It was
Yeah.
goat, and oh my gosh, it was rich. It tasted like I was drinking the very best vanilla make milkshake that I've ever had in my entire life. And that's not being hyperbolic at
No,
all.
you're not.
That is a true story. I wanted to bottle that up and take that home with me.
Man, I wish we could get our hands on it. There's just no way to replicate what you're getting in a first milking colostrum, along with whatever, I don't know what else was in the drink to make it the way that it was, but
I don't even care.
who knows? But I can tell you this, from the cheeses, from the goat to the sheep, the ricotta to the wine to this first milking colostrum drink. I mean, it was really remarkable. Even the digestive that they make, the myrtle that is like this old ancient blend of herbs and medicinals and things that are a part of their environment and things they can harvest and pick from the side of the road. Heck, how many wild plants? We were seeing wild helichrysum just growing right there. It was just remarkable to see how they lived off the land.
Wild carrots.
Wild carrots. Who would have known that was
Would have
even?
had no idea.
Have no idea. The walnuts that you would see. You would never know those were even walnuts. They look like these two fruit pieces that were hanging from the tree. It was just, you're just in a world that really, now it's sad because it's hard to find places like that anymore. But going back to, it was just simply going back to what our ancestors have always done. You eat the food that are available to you. You eat it seasonally, and you have a purpose. You move, you have community. Like, these are really powerful things. You live in gratitude, you have a purpose. That is powerful, man. That is what you call anti-aging longevity that can never be purchased in a supplement or, once again, off some, biohacking equipment that you purchase at a trade show.
All right. So the first talking point was you got to get your movement. This one right here, where what we're saying is it was all whole. It was all real food. This is the single ingredient food items that we talk about, the eating sci-fi in its
Oh yeah,
apple
yeah.
purest form. There was nothing else that was in that. And just like you said, yeah, it was all about community. And I think that's going to be like a whole entire episode is us talking about community.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Because
got to tell the
yeah,
story.
because what happened, and we'll share. I think that's the story that we share for the
Yeah.
next podcast.
Yeah.
Because here's what happened. We'll set it up like this and tee it up like this. So we're in there, and we had a guide. In our guide, his name is Claudio. He's amazing, our amazing
Shout out to
Sardinian
Claudio.
man. He was telling us all the stories, and he's like, hey, so Massimo didn't speak any English at all.
Zero.
And that's one of the things that I love about the Sardinians is that they speak Sardinian, not Italian. So we learned that when we first met Luciana, I was like, okay, so tell me about what's the difference between, Italian and the Sardinian dialect? And she's like, it's not a dialect. She got upset with me. She's like, it's an actual language. They're very proud of that. And so all that to say is, yeah, they don't speak any English, but what was beautiful about the Sardinians is they didn't have to.
Mhm.
You could literally have an entire conversation with each other. Neither
Yep.
one of you actually spoke the same language because you really were speaking the same language, and that same language was all about joy and love and peace, and you could just like feel it through
You
them.
really could.
You could.
It's hard to
So
explain, right? Like, how were we able to even communicate the way we were able to without speaking Sardinian and then not speaking English? I mean, we had a translator on some of it, clearly, but it just goes to show that real connection isn't really a language, verbal
not at all.
language. It's something way, way
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah.
And And I love that. That's why I love being around people, because you just can't replace, Zooms are great. Heck, even doing this podcast and seeing all of our beautiful people in the community on this podcast and in our office hours, but there's nothing like being around people and the energy of what you bring to the table when you have a heart that is so thankful and so grateful. I still get chills thinking about it. And there were so many other people that brought that energy to us.
We'll talk more about that on the next one.
Yeah.
But I think with that, it's just knowing that, you know what, there's part of us in everyone that you meet. There's a lot more commonalities that you could ever imagine. And I think when you do remove the language from it, you can actually really get to know somebody at a soul level. And that may have been what it is, because I think we use words
That's good.
Here to really cover and mask things up. And you can't really get into an intimate conversation with people. And I'm just, wow, I'm just like, literally, I'm just thinking about that right now. So what happened next was Massimo's talking to our guide, and they're talking in Sardinia, and we have no idea what they're talking about. And Claudio's like, hey, look, guys, I was going to take you to introduce you to a friend of mine who's a chef here. She was actually on a Netflix show with Zac Efron, and she was going to make you guys dinner. However, Massimo just let me know that today is a celebration that the village has, and it only happens one time a year. It's where the shepherds, which are the leaders of the village, they all get together and they prepare a meal for the entire village. There's about 700 people in the village, and Massimo wants you guys to be guests there at the village. He wants you to meet the rest of the village. And we had already been warned that you just don't go into one of these villages and start asking people questions. They don't welcome that. Like you were just saying, they don't welcome outsiders in, because there are so many people wanting to know, okay, what are these people doing? He invites us to come to this dinner. We're like, okay, yeah, we got to go. And so, I'm going to leave it at that, because that dinner was one of the most like I'm tearing up, literally. It's hard for me to speak right now because of just how beautiful this dinner was. And we want to share with you guys what it is that we learned from this dinner, who we met, because we met some amazing people that were pivotal in the journey at this dinner.
Yeah, this dinner led to some remarkable experiences, even going into the Chapel of the Pig and into our hike into the mountains led by Giovanni. What came out of that was beautiful. So we'll park it there for today. But wow, what an experience! What an incredible time to get out of the hustle of these crazy lives. And that's another thing, if you can't, obviously not everybody can just jump in a plane and go to Sardinia. Heck, we can't do that all the time. But where's the place where you can get away and just disconnect and really get simple again, getting your feet back on the ground, nourishing your body with real food, living and waking up in the morning with gratitude, getting sun on your body and sun in your eyes, doing just basic things that really do bring peace, that really do reconnect you back to who God made all of us to be. You are not alone. And we have the ultimate shepherd who knows all of us by name, who cares so immensely about each of us. That right there is enough to get me fired up every single day, even in my worst moments. So we love you guys. This was awesome. Thank you guys for letting us be gone for a little bit. Great to be back. And we'll do more. We'll do some more sessions out of this. I don't know how many parts we'll go.
Yeah, we'll keep on telling the story. I think we should go all the way into London, because London was such just like a different experience. It's like talking about the two sides of the coin. And so
even going back to we kind of brushed through Croatia really quickly. That was the blip on the map.
We got to talk about Croatia as well. Croatia is beautiful. So with that, remember, like the show, share it, comment. Let us know your questions. Give us feedback through Instagram at the H2 Life. You can check out. We're gonna be posting videos in the H2 Life as well from our time in Croatia, Sardinia, in London. That way you can check that out. And if you think that you may have a metabolism problem, go to metabolismscore.com, because your metabolism does keep the score, and you need to know what that score is. So we'll leave you with that. You guys have a happy, healthy rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.